So, I was watching America's Funniest Videos yesterday, and this little boy about 6 was in a bathtub with a monkey that could have been 3. I wasn't sure of the age of the monkey. But what really intrigued me was how the monkey was having as much fun in the bath as the kid. It was diving and jumping and then jump on the kid's back, and they'd wrestle and play together, and then the monkey would jump out of the tub again, he'd get up on the edge and then dive in the water again and play with the boy again.
Oh, the monkey is far more evolved in that sort of fun than the human. Humans would do well to learn all of your acrobatics from monkeys.
Okay.
Upper body strength is the key.
So the division between man and human and monkey, for instance,
not worth talking about.
It's not worth talking about.
Not worth talking about.
Okay, so when we're talking about spirit or life force or consciousness, individual consciousness, as opposed to, say, stream of consciousness, or
be careful, because the answer is going to be upsetting to many.
Maybe I should.
You have the soul of a monkey, yes.
So, is there anything that is there anything that joins the human fetus at birth, or right about birth, that if it hadn't joined it, that fetus would evolve into a being more like a monkey?
It is that the being that is the human has different mental faculties that summon differently than the monkey or than the dog. In other words, remember, everything is about attraction. And so let's start in a very central place here. So before there was this physical realm, there was the idea of this physical realm. Mm-hmm. And who were the true dreamers of this physical realm? Were they men or monkeys? And we say they were not either man nor monkey. They were not man nor beast. It was consciousness. It was experienced consciousness that dreamed of an earth plane where experience could be more tactile. And so there was the dreamer of the monkey. There was the dreamer of the chicken. Mm-hmm. There was, in other words, the dreamer of all of that. Just as you are now in your physical realm, you continue the dream. But it is all about attraction. And so as the dream was launched and the idea was considered and the law of attraction congealed around the idea, then you come forth in all of your variety.
Would you say that the monkey also sees itself as the center of the universe?
Yes, and is. As is the ant or the one-celled amoeba in the ocean, because source responds to all. In other words, when your question or desire is born from your preference, whatever your station in life or your placement in life is, mm-hmm. when your desire comes forth, it is received and answered across the board. There is no hierarchy that is saying, well, this one is a human, let's answer that request, and this is a mere beast, let's put that on hold. All are answered instantly. The only difference really worth talking about is the monkey's more likely to let it in than the human.
Gotcha.
You see. Because the human is self-judging and self-critical. And so what we're really talking about here is the difference in human, and it is a magnificent difference, is that you are born to focus consciously. You said, I would like to go forth, don a perspective where I make sense of my environment, where I deliberately include. And while the beasts are all doing the same, it was your intent to deliberately intend. It was your intent to be aware of the way that you feel. Actually, the beast intends also, and the beast follows his guidance also. But man is more on the leading edge. Man is more on the leading edge of thought. Man is deliberately deciphering the thought, considering the thought, cataloging the thought, trying to understand the thought, reaching for the thought, deliberately giving birth to the thought. Man is a much more powerful, deliberate mechanism for deciphering and concluding and choosing.
Are we humans preparing a pathway for all other beasts to have better experiences in the Eons to come?
You are and they are. In other words, the beasts
It's
are preparing.
mutual.
The beasts are preparing the pathways for the future beasts, just as you are preparing the pathways for the future humans. And you are all in this together. And if human would accept that he is beast also, and relax in his understanding that he too is an extension of source, and work more on allowing, as the beast does, letting his genius that he has come to help him with step 1, and then focus upon the allowing. You see, the beast is better at step 3 and the human is better at step 1. That is perhaps the best way of saying it.
Good.
The beast does not focus very specifically. It doesn't ask very specifically, doesn't calculate or conclude as much, doesn't come to near the desire. But the desires that it does conclude, it allows.
Lets it happen.
Where man concludes and concludes and concludes and concludes, but in his process of defining and moving through the contrast, loses often his ability to allow what he is choosing.
What brought me to that question that I started with was, would you differentiate, or is there any, between the terms spirit, life force, and consciousness?
We would use them all interchangeably.
Okay.
Spirit, when man offers it, usually is talking about source, and we mean that too. Consciousness is in everything, so it could be directed from source, or it could be something that is awareness. All awareness is consciousness.
I was going to...
But all that is source or spirit, these are all your words. But usually when we hear from you the word source or the word spirit, you mean something differently than consciousness, although consciousness and spirit certainly are the same also.
And life force?
Again, life force also. Again, we're just talking about a different application of the specifics of the focus. In other words, life force is usually meant, when you offer it, to mean this stream that can be utilized in order to create. In other words, you could call it like the soup or the energy of the universe that is directed. And usually in the directed form, it is called consciousness. And usually what is directed is considered to be source or spirit.
Thank you very much.
All just words. And every one of those words could mean something entirely different to someone else who was using them and would still be just as accurate.
I was just checking in why you use them, or why Esther used them when you project, whatever you were projecting, that Esther would use those terms is kind of what brought it to my mind. Thank you.
Yes, indeed.